I will give you a little bit of history about Dynaudio. As you know, it's from Denmark. Okay, they have some of the best loudspeakers that money can buy. As a matter of fact, my early days with Dynaudio were special. If I'm being honest, when I heard Dynaudio at a hi-fi store in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for the first time, I believe the name of the hi-fi store was Sound Advice. It's no longer open. That store closed a long time ago. But that was the first time I heard a Dynaudio product. And I think they were using Macintosh products. I can't remember. Dynaudio blew me away the very first day I listened to them. So much so that I embarked on a quest. I was on a quest to find a Dynaudio product in my early beginnings. And I believe the first one that I owned was the Dynaudio C1 Platinum. Incredible bookshelf stand mount speaker. You can actually order the stands for them. It was some of the best performance that I've ever heard out of a stand mount speaker. As a matter of fact, I believe the Dynaudio C1 started it all for stand mounts. They were the very first loudspeaker that really defied the laws of physics. Many of us never knew that a stand mount speaker could sound as good as that C1 did. Incredible bass, incredible bottom end, enormous sound stage from two tiny, very inefficient loudspeakers. I believe they were like 83 dBs, very hard to drive, okay? But that speaker really taught me what hi-fi was all about. Soon after that, I owned the C2 Platinums, went on to buy the C4s for my room in Florida. Actually, the C4s lived there for some time. It was a love affair as well with the C4s. And then eventually I bought a pair of Evidence Temptations from a local dealer in South Florida. I remember that's the first time I actually ended up meeting the owner of High Palace. Larry is the name. He sold me the first pair of Evidence Temptation Dynaudios, and that was really a spectacular loudspeaker. And so I know soon after that, Dynaudio was sold to the Chinese. Now remember, Dynaudio started in the late 70s, I believe, here in the US. So it was like 45 years before they finally withdrew from US territory. They were sold to the Chinese in October of 2014, more or less. So that's approximately, 12 years? It's going to be 11 years now, 12 years since they were sold to the Chinese. I believe the Chinese own 83% of the brand. A lot of interesting things happened since then, if I'm being honest with you. I remember being unable to get a discount on Dynaudio products in my early days. That's with the Platinum generation of products, the C1, the C4s, the C2 Platinum generation. Okay, I remember that I couldn't get a deal to save my life. I remember used market sales were through the roof on Dynaudio products. Everyone wanted a Dynaudio product. Everyone and their mother. I was one of them too. I'm not gonna lie to you. But things, in my opinion, began to change soon after they were sold to the Chinese, okay? And that was in 2014, as I mentioned. They developed other products. They revamped the lines. They discontinued what I think put them on the map. And they ended up doing Contours, I believe it was the name of one of the lines. And there was another line of products that they released. I don't remember the names of every model, but what I can say, what I'm prepared to say is the following. I felt like after the sale of the brand to the Chinese, for some reason, I don't feel like people were calling for Dynaudio. I don't feel like in the US, audiophiles were really thrilled to own Dynaudio products. I don't remember like seeing a lot of conversations on forums. I don't remember seeing a lot of people to show like a sense of pride by owning the latest and greatest loudspeaker from Dynaudio. And I don't know why that was. I really don't know why that was. I'm assuming it's all tied to the brand being sold to the Chinese. I'm speculating here. I don't have any proof of what I'm saying, but I feel like it has to do with that. Okay, before they were sold to the Chinese, man, I remember people just looking really hard, at any Dynaudio product that showed up on the used market. It was listed and it was gone like this, gone. gone. But after 2014, I don't feel like that was the same effect. At shows, I remember seeing occasionally a pair of Dynaudios, Confidence 60s. I don't remember seeing a Dynaudio Confidence 60 at a show. It may have been there and I missed it. But I don't remember a lot being said out and about the Confidence line, okay? I don't remember seeing a Confidence 50. I don't remember seeing again, a lot of conversations about Dynaudio overall. If you know anything about the brand, you gotta remember Dynaudio makes sound systems for Bugatti, I believe Volvo as well, and I can't remember, I think it's Volkswagen too, I can't remember, but I know they're in the car industry as well. My deduction from all of this is that one or two of the reasons why Dynaudio may have withdrawn from the US is because one, the sales were not there, okay? That's obvious, okay? If they were killing it in the US, why would they be leaving? Makes no sense, right? So they are clearly not selling enough product in the US. Clearly not selling. Okay, 11 years after they were sold to the Chinese, it took that long for them to realize we're not doing anything in the US. We're not even relevant. We're not selling enough. And what's interesting is it's great product. As a matter of fact, you guys saw my video from Expona where I damn near did backflips. I really cannot do backflips, I'm too heavy. But I damn near did backflips over those Dynaudio stand mounts that are active. Confidence 28. The Confidence 28 were some of the best sounding speakers I have ever heard from Dynaudio. By miles. An amazing speaker. As a matter of fact, I wanted to buy the demo pair they had at Expona, if I'm being honest here. Kind of glad that I didn't buy them because I could have been stuck with a product that's no longer supported here in the US. It's not about the quality of the product. It's not about the sound of the product. It has nothing to do with that. But I feel as if American audiophiles usually shy away from products that are owned by the Chinese. Okay, I feel like there is a little bit of pushback. I feel like American audiophiles don't want to be associated with that. For Dynaudio to leave, it's a combination of sales. It's a combination of the brand being sold to the Chinese. And also, I feel like there are many more options now in this country for audiophiles. The competition is fierce in the US. You have to understand that. It's actually loudspeakers are some of the most difficult hi-fi components to sell, regardless of the brand. It doesn't matter what brand it is some of the most difficult transactions for any dealer to conduct. Very hard. If you're wondering why is that, Jay, it's simple. Does it look good to your eyes? Is it the right color? Because there are many color selections, which is not the case with hi-fi components like amplifiers and preamplifiers. You usually only have a black color or a silver color for electronics. For speakers, a lot of color selections, right? So is it the right shape? Does it look good? Is it the right color? Does it have the wife approval factor? And does it work in your room? Many different factors affect the sale of a loudspeaker. You have to understand that is what's very difficult about loudspeaker sales. Many dealers tell me all the time, man, it's hard to move a loudspeaker. People walk into the store and they are blown away by the speakers. They love the way they look. They love the construction. They love the cabinet. They love everything about the speaker, but they don't cut the check. They tell the dealer, my wife didn't like the pictures I showed her of the speakers. My wife thinks they're too big for the living room after she saw them at your store. It's a very difficult thing. Usually amps are all rectangular in shape. Preamps, same thing. Not much changes when it comes to that. Speakers have the biggest gap from product to product when it comes to looks, as opposed to amps, as opposed to DACs, as opposed to preamps. Also, there's something else that I think Dynaudio never had to face in the past, which no one is talking about. A lot of other brands, I can think of Magical, for example, entered the more affordable hi-fi. If you think about it, when Dynaudio was killing it, right? I believe the C1s Platinums were like 12 grand at that point in time. Okay, it was a killer speaker for the money. But now you have Magical making stand mounts for $8,000-$9,000, the A1s. So that puts a monkey wrench in the entire operation or idea, or the segment that Dynaudio may have built for others. You got Borison building full range, loudspeakers like the X6s that I believe are like somewhere in the 20s. I mean, it's a great price performance proposition, something that did not exist in the past. And so I think this is actually hurting, many hi-fi brands, but that's competition. That's what this is all about, is competition. Many hi-fi brands from abroad, from outside the United States, would kill to be in this market. Many of them would kill to be relevant in the US. Relevant is the word I'm looking for. Would kill to actually be relevant and to even just be in the same room as Wilson Audio, as Magical, as Boulder Electronics, and other Macintosh, right? They would kill to be showcased with those brands at hi-fi shows, because their whole, idea is to just generate sales in the US. The US market is huge for hi-fi brands. You have no clue how hard manufacturers work to penetrate the US market.